welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. Of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artist. And I'm excited because LANY is here with a brand new album called A Beautiful Blur. Paul, Jake, hello, guys.
What's up, Kyle?
Hello. I love
you.
the posters. I love the posters back there too.
Yeah, I let my
Depeche Mode,
heroes
Pearl
do the
Jam.
heavy lifting for me. You know, a little Bowie,
Yeah, I like
REM, Depeche Mode.
Cool.
Yeah.
I see Pearl Jam twice. I don't know if that's strategic, but I'm all about it.
Yeah, well, Pearl Jam I have seen probably more than 50 times over the course of 25 years. So
yeah,
Those
yeah,
are Jake's boys.
yeah, I love them.
yeah, that's I was supposed to see them recently, and the show got canceled. I had front row tickets and backstage passes, and Matt Cameron, the drummer, got COVID. So
Oh no, you'll love this. I'll have a quick story. You'll love this story. We played a festival in Milan, and Pearl Jam was headlining that night. I couldn't believe we got to play the same stage as Pearl Jam. We call it the breakfast slot, like when the doors open, and we play 30 seconds after that. And we played, and people just turned their backs to us and just flipped us off. And it's one of my favorite memories ever.
oh,
Because they're just like, we're waiting for Pearl Jam. Who are these dudes?
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself that day and who I was on the inside.
Yeah, it's like, do you stay a band or do you quit after that? And we stayed.
yeah, it's a good thing. Pearl Jam would have wanted you to stay, I feel like.
They were incredible too, so it was amazing.
It's good to see you both on here talking about what album number 5, I believe, with A Beautiful Blur, and you're hitting all the things that I love about songwriting on this record. Whatever lane you guys kind of ended up in here, let me just give you the compliment at first that this record, it's really fun to listen to. I know there's some, heartbreak and heavy subjects as usual, but it's a really fun record.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Yeah. How does I don't know if albums have starting points. I mean, most of the time people are just writing songs, but how does it work for you guys? Does this album have a starting point?
Yeah, I guess it does. The first song we wrote for it is a song called Double XL, which is actually track 1. And that was written at a time at the end of 2021. We had been basically locked up, for a while, not being able to tour. And we were able to kind of get out of the house at the end of the year and play about 21 shows, mainly in North America and a few in the UK. And then I think we went straight home for Thanksgiving. And I was just kind of itching to get back into writing, and went over to a friend of mine, Andrew Goldstein, who we actually made the 4th album with. And we got together, and I knew I wanted to write a song called Double XL. Partly Jake and I, we just like to wear big clothes. I mean, like, we just like double XL hoodies and tees, and I thought it'd be so cool to maybe write a song called Double XL. And I miss you big time. I miss you a lot. But instead of saying a lot or big time, let's say Double XL, and it would be kind of fun to spin it. And when you're dating somebody and they're like, maybe they throw on your hoodie and it's it's like too big for them or whatever. And so I thought that was such like just kind of a cool way, kind of a quirky title. And that was the first song we wrote. And then it just kind of starts to snowball from there. Once we start writing it, it's hard to turn it off. And so, yeah, I think the way it works is we go and write as many songs as possible. Jake kind of gives me the freedom to go and try everything and go into any room with anyone and explore. And then I bring it all back before him, and he kind of decides which ones we should really pursue. And that's how it works. And that's how it worked this time as well.
Jake, how do you know this might be the unanswerable question, or wait, how do you know it's the song? How do you know, like, yes, that's the one we're gonna move forward on?
Oh man, great question. I think number one, it's just feeling. I think feeling and emotion is kind of the lead. When he's sending me songs, and I'm just like, wow, that really moves me in some kind of way. And then also sometimes I can just kind of see the future of it. I can see us playing it somewhere. I can hear us listening back on repeat together, like screaming our heads off like we love this song. I can see kind of like what we'll be wearing. I just like feel like I have this world when he sends me a song that is like it. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go with this one because I can already see it.
Yeah. Now y'all have had the friendship long enough. Is the opposite also true? Where you hit him back and go, "That's not it."
Yes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 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 Jake will let me know that's for somebody else.
But one thing that's so cool about Double XL, like he's saying, one thing that Paul's great about is not just the songs alone being exciting. It's like everything across what LANY does, whether it's merch, visuals, the song title, the song, it's like all exciting. So it's cool. It's not just like one area is here and then everything's down here. It's just like we try everything to be just elevated. And so Double XL was just like a layup, it felt like.
Yeah. That song in particular, and hearing that, I talk about you hitting all the things that I love about songwriting, like pop rock, especially coming from, I was a teen in the 90s, and like, when I think back in those bands, whether it was, Counting Crows, Third Eye Blind, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, those were big moments for me. And I hear this song and that recalls that, but then I also hear you all maybe in a press release or something kind of name checking bands like U2 and Coldplay and the Killers as being sort of direct influences on this specific record. Why did it land like that this time, and why those bands?
I think those, two of those definitely are kind of our North Star, U2 and Coldplay. Those bands just resonate with us like almost on a spiritual level. Growing up, I started classical piano when I was 5 years old. Didn't really have a choice. It was just kind of one of those things that my mom told me we would be starting. And then I wound up taking classical piano for 13 years. And it was all about guitar growing up. And if you didn't play guitar, like you were, you didn't matter. And to see somebody like Chris Martin being the band that he is and being the leader that he is for that band, and to see him behind the keys like really spoke to me on like a personal level. And I still look up to him so much. I've never met him. I don't know if I ever will, but I feel like that for me is something that we aim for,
I think it's cool too. It's like we've always had heroes, but I feel like this record we leaned into why there are heroes. And a lot, like especially those two bands, it's like a lot of noise that happens in the world, but there are two bands that have always been like for the world, and their songs are so global and have such a global impact, and we really leaned into that.
Yeah, and the thing I love about them, it's like they somehow figured out how to write the biggest anthems of all time and still feel like it's so intimate, within the song. Like as songwriters, I get that similar vibe from you. How do you pull that off? What's the songwriting trick here?
Oh man. I actually think trying to hone in more on like the personalness, like the intimacy of the moment, instead of trying to like make a song fit for everyone and rid it of detail and rid it of intimacy. I actually don't think that works. I think diving into the moment that you're writing in, that personal, like micro moment in life or that season in life, and being as detailed as possible actually makes the song, in a weird kind of magical way, more relatable. I don't know if that makes sense, but filling it in with as much color and uniqueness actually makes it more global.
Sure.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and I think that's I feel like that anyway. That's what your fans have appreciated too, because it's not. I mean, there's a lot of pop music out there, and I'm not knocking anything one way or the other, but everybody chooses their lane. But there's a lot of pop music, there's just a lot of music that doesn't necessarily say much. It's too broad, and the way people connect with you all, it seems it's really about that connection. Like you're talking about something really, really specific, but it becomes relatable.
I really appreciate saying that and highlighting that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So into the record too, we're talking about XXL being the first song and kicking it off. But as I also understand, like the track list, and thankfully, you're thinking about it as an album, but it's chronological. What's the story of this record?
It's not chronological. We actually have about 10 different versions of the track list. But we but we are so excited with how like where everything landed. But weirdly enough, now that you mention it, No would have actually been the last song we wrote for this album. So in a serendipitous type of way, without doing it on purpose, Double XL was the first one and No was the last one we wrote for it, which is crazy. But everything else in the middle doesn't, it's not necessarily in chronological order. You have to be cognizant of ebb and flow, momentum, things like that on an album. You don't want to load up the front half with all up tempo things that will wear you out, and then the back half is ballads, and you kind of want to spread the diversity of each of the songs kind of across the board. Um, so I don't know. I mean, it was basically a lot of like puzzle piecing, you know, like taking one song and be like, okay, that feels nice after that, going into that. And that's also just like a process that a lot of people don't ask about is the track list. But yeah, it really is exactly like you would imagine, kind of trying to see which one feels the best coming before and after each song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. After you changed the album title, as now it's out there. I think it was maybe the newsletter you sent out. You said you're questioning every artistic direction, hearing that there's 10 different track lists. That's not surprising to me now. That's it, right? Like you hear about, if you're a painter, you have to know when to stop painting.
Yeah.
Like what does that mean when you're talking about, you know, questioning everything? Like at some point you've got to, like, I don't know. Because what I was about to say was at some point you've got to believe in the album. Maybe you always believe in the album. What is it you don't believe in?
Well, I believe in all of it now. And it is now definitely too late to change anything. But you know, it's always been about the songs, and each album has a different story of when the title came to us and when the album art came to us. Each one is wildly different. And just in this scenario, not that it's not important because it is so important, but I cared more about the songs and the way they sounded and the way that they were going to be listened to than I cared about the title or the cover, really. But that's not to say we don't care about it. We definitely care. If we cared enough to change it. But it was just one of those things that maybe wasn't super clear to me. And you know, absolutely love where we landed. And I love the journey that it took. It's amazing to like go through all of this and see what you were supposed to learn from. And you know, I keep asking myself, like, God, what was I supposed to learn from this? And how did I grow in this area, and how did we grow as a band? But honestly, like, not to sound corny, but making this album also was a beautiful blur. Like now when I look back on it, it was just so much hard work and so much dedication to the craft and so many revisions. And I think that's just like, I think that's part of our artistic responsibility. As you know, this is not our first album, it's our fifth. And when I really think about my goals in this band personally, is all I really want from the album that we just released is that it allows us to make another one. That's what I want, is to just, when I put it out, that it means that we, like, it does well enough and reaches enough people that we can go and make another one.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And knowing about that journey too, because, you know, we have lineup changes into the duo and family additions. Jake, I bring that up for you because I don't know that this is the first album you put out since being a dad, but if it's not, it's definitely right, the first album since you've really got a toddler on the way. Like, has that made a big impact in what this album means to you?
You know, it kind of just gives me more purpose and more intention in life. It's like I just don't want to do anything that I'm not giving it 100%. And it's also really fun because she turned 2 in May, so she's like starting to hum things and sing things, and she is obsessed with Double XL and just wants to listen to it on repeat. So we just have it in the car. We're just DJs now in the car. Just like if she wants to listen to Moana or LANY, it's one of those two. So it's just a whole new excitement. Like she's been on the road with us, and she's like our little mascot. She used to be really scared of Paul, and now she's in love with him. So it's a fun little journey. She's been to the studio when we're tracking, and I'll have those photos and videos forever. So it's just creating a lot of fun memories.
Yeah. Paul, are you typically intimidating to kids?
I don't know. We got along really, really well when she was like 6 months, but that was before she probably had like any sort of like free will developed yet. But I was like just obsessed with her when we were on tour because she was like just such a little chunk, and I just like kissed on her cheeks all the time. But then something happened. I don't know if like I went too long without seeing her. She was like, she would just kind of scream every time she saw me. So, and I started FaceTiming her so we could like develop a bond again. And now
It's there. She'll wake up and say, "More Paul, more Paul." So they got there.
You found a way into her heart.
I think she was intimidated by the Zoolander jawline situation.
Well, those melodies are, you can't fight them, and I mean that too.
Yes.
You know, like not just XXL. I was looking at some of the other ones here. Out of My League. God, that melody is a mid-2000s dream for me. I was thinking of Evan and Jaron, Crazy for This Girl. Can you remember? You guys know that one? There's I don't know.
You'll have to sing it to us.
Not going to happen today with Kentucky allergies. I'll tell you that. But between that one, I Pray. I mean, what a unique set of lyrics. What a unique way to hope that someone gets broken up with. Where does that one come from? You don't have to get too personal, but where does that one come from, generally speaking, I guess?
You know, I don't know. I guess it just came from my soul. I thought it was just really unique. I mean, yeah, I've kind of like maybe found myself in like not an exactly perfectly exact scenario, but I did find myself at the top of this year, when like you're in the back of a car with like a group of friends and maybe there's someone that you like might have a crush on or something, and you're headed to like the next bar or something, and like your knees touch, but you don't like move your knees. It sounds so silly, but it is like one of those moments that we don't really talk about, or no one's ever like kind of pinned it, like our knees were touching the back of the car when they didn't need to. And that just started to like snowball in my imagination. And I don't know. I think I'm glad that you like that song. I love that song.
That's cool. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, one of those moments you cannot get more specific and personal.
Totally.
In the most microscopic way. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I do love the record. And I love the album title, A Beautiful Blur. It paints a great picture. And I mean that. This is such a fantastic record. Congratulations to you both for doing it. And the guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Man,
thank you so much.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.